Hey, what's going on? Welcome along to episode 66 of the Strategy and Conversions podcast. I'm Jamie Michael Joseph, and as always, I'm joined by Mr. Mark Tanner.
Hello all. Hi.
Mark, we did a few podcast episodes recently where we kind of changed the narrative a bit, where we looked at Clarkson's Farm and the kind of business lessons, the marketing lessons, all the kind of things that you can take from that. And today we're going to look at bringing it back onto the whole kind of business front with an episode which is all around improving your business and your profits.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's important to everyone, isn't it? It's just that improving business is great, but at this particular time, people are focused on, I need more cash. I need to try and make my business more profitable so I can take home a little bit more with all the things that are going on, especially in the UK, but I know the US is in that kind of situation as well. Well, I guess there's a lot of countries in Europe that are starting to feel a bit of the pinch as well.
It definitely, and I think it has been a common thread that we've kind of run with throughout the episodes over the past year or so, where we've kind of been saying you need to make more money. It's that kind of thing. And yes, that's easier said than done. And also, that there are different options with that. I think a lot of it, with me saying make more money and talking about making money online, setting up different income streams and things like that. But you can also do that in business, right? You can create different income streams within your business, but also you can look at what you actually have and just make it run smoother, make it run better, and make it run, at more of a profit than what you're actually getting right now.
Yeah, and we were talking earlier, weren't we? And the whole this flexibility thing. So when you're in a big, huge organization, I've been in the corporate world for a while back. When they want to make changes, it's committee meeting after committee meeting, and then it's actions and who's going to do this and who's going to do that. And if they want to change something or tweak something, it takes forever in a big corporate. They're constant meetings and eventually having a proposal that gets voted on and changing. Whereas as business owners, we are in a position to be extremely flexible if you want to be. So when we think something's not quite working right, or going back to our continual improvement sort of spiral that we keep talking about as well, is that you think, right, now is the time for me to have a look at this and see how I can improve it. We're flexible enough that we can put improvements in place almost straight away. Even if we have a small team, we can still do that. We can say, right, we need to do this, change a few things, and within, a week at least, we can be changing things to make them look better. It can be more quickly than that. So we got the advantage as small businesses of that flexibility.
I think that's exactly it, isn't it? That whole kind of flexibility. I think I kind of think people move on two ends of the spectrum with that. Where, like you said, you've got the big kind of businesses and stuff like that, really slow, really clunky. And even if there is a change, it isn't adopted properly and stuff like that. And, it slowly goes back to how it was before. But I actually feel that there's the danger on the other end of people chopping and changing all the time.
Too quickly. Yes. Yeah. I wouldn't advocate that. I think this is going back to our business sort of spiral, our business improvement spiral. We've always said that you go with a product and you put that product out and don't change it for change's sake, but change it when it needs improvement. When you find things that maybe you get some feedback from your customers, or maybe you think, or maybe someone's come into the organization as a VA or whatever and just said, this is a bit of a bottleneck. We could change that and make that a little bit better. You think, oh yeah, great idea. But not wholesale thinking, oh, that doesn't work. Let's go and do this and can change something completely. Because if you're changing things for change's sake, you're probably making it worse in a lot of cases. But when you're changing it to think, I can see where it needs to be improved, that's a whole different ballgame, because you're actually making those changes for a reason. So we were talking, wasn't it? Why am I making this change? Everything needs to be preceded with why. Why am I doing this? How is that going to make things better? And I think if you ask yourself why I'm going to make this change, you can justify it, then that's probably a change in the right direction.
Most definitely. And I think from that as well, like you're saying, is that it's not about changing just for changing things. And I think we find this danger a lot with small businesses, or sole traders and stuff like that, is they try something, it didn't work, so they try something different. And it's like completely different, rather than kind of keeping at something, tweaking it, improving it, and making it better. And like you said, that kind of spiral, I mean, you call it the innovation cycle.
That's it. That's
So
it.
you kind of moving through it, and you're always innovating. I think innovation is a great word. We've kind of looked at this before, haven't we? Where we're just like, you should always be looking to innovate. You should always be looking to elevate.
Yeah,
Because if you're standing still, you're running that danger of being replaced. You're running that danger of failing. And kind of moving backwards. But what we want to do here is just make those small kind of improvements and adapt, different things into the business. And this is really, what we're getting at today of kind of going, well, where you are in business right now, which areas are working, which areas can slightly be tweaked to work even better.
yeah,
We're looking at things like your processes, your systems, your people, your sales, your marketing, and kind of going, okay, how do we tweak things? How do we make things better? And that could be getting in the right support, getting the right people, having the right people to turn to, for advice and guidance and stuff like that, and bringing in then those systems, So, like I said, improving systems. It could be that you're using some sort of process, some sort of software, and you've been using that however long, and it's fine. It does the job, but actually switching to a different
yeah,
software is going to just make things 10 times better.
yeah. I mean, we've seen, haven't we, with AI and the stuff that's improving at the moment, that the changes are just drastic at the minute. I was talking to a web designer recently. I did some coaching for a web designer last week, and he was saying how, even going back to the Chat GPT we keep talking about, how that he can get all his code produced for him pretty accurately now without him having to intervene. The only thing he's got to know is the right questions to ask Chat GPT to give him the outcome he wants. So his business is changing slightly when he can code it himself, but he can actually get Chat GPT to produce the coding for him, as long as he's right, telling them, if you like, structuring his questions in the right way that Chat GPT knows what he wants to do. So he's being flexible there because he's realized that somebody can come on and undercut him or change things around. And I think going back to that innovation, that's a classic one. He's looking at, how can I innovate my business now to be a step ahead of other people who maybe aren't doing that, or hasn't occurred to them that they can do that. And it's like anything, isn't it? When you innovate, you produce something that's slightly different, slightly improved. It'll stand that way for a while, and then everyone else will come up, and so they'll raise the bar themselves that way. So you've got to keep innovating, otherwise somebody's going to innovate over you, and all of a sudden your product that was a leader is now going to be dropping down the leaderboard. So you've got to be constantly looking at, how can I improve? I think that's essential in anything, is how can I improve it better? How can I make it even better than it was before?
That's the secret, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
Is that if you
yeah,
can just keep making things better and always staying ahead and everything like that, that's your way of staying ahead of the game, and obviously keeping your kind of market share, keeping your
yeah,
position, and keeping customers coming to you as well. I mean, Chat GPT is such a good topic right now, and
yeah,
we did an episode. What was it, 3-4 months ago? Something
yeah,
like that, where,
yeah,
where it was kind of, well, maybe about 3 months ago, and it was just starting to kind of be adopted, or just
yeah,
starting to open up, that people were using it and looking at it. And it was one of those things where we had that discussion. We said, look, if you're using it within entertainment, if you're using it within stuff like that with code and everything, okay. But if you're looking at it to do the job for you, there's a danger. And
yeah,
it's a case there of going, well, if you just if you just type something in, so like that with code, if I go to there, I don't know coding, but if I say I need code to do X, Y, Z, and it gives me a bunch of code, I don't know if that's right or not.
no,
I think that this here is a great example of business owners who outsource things without knowing why, or without knowing
yeah,
what they want. And what
yeah,
they do there is they just go, oh, okay, yeah, you go and do that. You go and do some social media over there. You go and run some ads over there. You run this part of the software with the CRM and stuff like that. And it's all disjointed.
yeah,
They don't have that congruency there. And the reason for it is that they don't know why they want it, or
yeah,
where they want it and stuff like that. And all they do is they kind of just go, we'll get someone else to do it. And
yeah,
I think that's exactly the same thing with like Chat GPT, is that if you go to it and you're not asking the right questions, but more importantly, you don't have an idea of the answer,
yeah,
that's where you run the risk of kind of anything coming out.
yeah. And I think it comes back to kind of vision and stuff, doesn't it? When, yeah, the whole mindset thing again is that, again, I was using the example earlier when we were chatting. But if you're going to hire a VA, a lot of people say, oh, if you're really, really busy, hire a VA. And someone says, oh, that's a great idea. I'll go get one. I'll hire a VA. So the VA says, okay, what would you like me to do? And you think, I haven't got a clue, because you haven't gone through the process saying, right, why do I need to hire a VA? What is it that's caused me to be so busy? Because it could be that, coming back to one of these things like systems, it could be that, hang on a minute, if I just take this piece of software that does this for me, and like Calendly, something really basically schedules all my appointments for me. Wow, I haven't got to keep playing email table tennis with people to work out an appointment. You're suddenly saving 5-10 minutes on a particular client because they just said, here's my link, book a time in. And that could save you in a day, that could save you a couple of hours. And all of a sudden you think, oh, actually, I don't need a VA. So going back to what I was saying is, you need to understand what where in the process are you having bottlenecks? And is it something you can sort out with kind of software or automation, whatever? And if it's not, who can do it for you? So it's why you need it is, you've got to be clear on why you need this particular thing, because you're going to be spending out, normally if you're going to be asking the question who can do it for you, you're going to be spending you're going to be spending money. So it's almost like, what is it that needs doing, and why do I need someone else to do it? And don't ask, how can I get that done myself? More that you say, right, okay, who can do that for me? Who is the person that can do that for me? Because the chances are that if you have someone, once you've identified something like an email, for example, someone who manages your email, they have that particular way of managing it. They can probably do it in a quarter of the time that you can. So it makes sense to have somebody on a lesser hourly rate that you particularly want to charge yourself at, saying, right, you do that so I can carry on, concentrate on doing this. But you have to know that why first. And then how, what needs doing. So creating that job description, because I keep banging on to people about creating job descriptions for the things they do. And a lot of small business owners say, yeah, but it's me. It's all in my head. I don't need to. He said, yeah, but you will need to one day when you suddenly get to the stage where you're so busy and you think, I need someone to do this for me. And then you've got to stop everything you're doing when you don't have any time anymore to work out what it is to write that job description. Whereas if you've done it earlier, you can say, right, now's the time. Here's a bit of paper. You do that.
It's really interesting that when you were talking there, it made me think of a couple of years ago in the UK, there was this Kickstarter scheme that was going around where it was like, it was a bit like a kind of getting an apprentice in. It wasn't a long-term thing. A Kickstarter came in for like a short period of time, and lots of businesses were like, yeah, I'm getting a Kickstarter. And it's like they got them in, but then they didn't know what to do with them or anything like that. And they just got them doing random things, and it didn't really work. And if you go back I think it was a good year, a good 18 months ago, we did a podcast episode that we said that there's like this digital marketing apprentice bubble that's going on. And it is exactly that. There is lots of people just went, we need to do more marketing, so we'll get an apprentice. And it's like they got the apprentice, and the apprentice is doing some training elsewhere on what marketing is and how to use marketing and stuff like that. But no one's looking at strategy. No one's looking at why. No one's looking at what. No one's looking at where. All they're kind of doing then is going, we need to do some marketing. This person can do it. Get on and do it. That person's going, but I don't know what you want. And it's like that there is exactly that thing where it's just going, okay, you still need to know why. You still need to know where. You still need to know when, that kind of thing. You don't need to know the how. And it's just like you said, people can come in to help you with that. And there's that thing, there's that kind of, I can't think, where I heard it or who says it, but it's like, why are you doing £10 tasks when you charge £100 for what it is that you do? So it's like, if you can charge £100 an hour, but it's taking you 2 hours to do some sort of admin role, it's like that hasn't cost you. You haven't saved £20 by not paying someone. It's actually cost you 200.
Yeah,
because you could have been earning that money while someone else did that. So you could have been making then, £160 in those 2 hours, but actually you've ended up costing yourself.
Yeah. One of the big obvious things that sticks to mind is bookkeeping, because it's pretty simple bookkeeping, really. You need your invoices. You need all your purchase invoices put into your system. You need to create invoices to your customers, and you need to reconcile your bank account stuff. Oh, that's something that most people will say, reconcile a bank account. I've done that for years. Well, it should be. Keep an eye on your cash. Um, and a lot of people don't do the bookkeeping because it's kind of, oh yeah, I'll do that later. And I've been there. Oh yeah, I'll do that. I'll do it. And all of a sudden one day you think, I've got to do my self-assessment or I've got to do my tax return. I haven't done my bookkeeping for last year. And all of a sudden you've created invoices, but you haven't put any of purchase stuff in there. And it's simple to farm out to people because it's quite structured anyway. You just say to, right, I need to put my invoices on. I need to create the invoices to my customers. So put on my purchases here, my costs. And then at the end of the month, I need to be able to reconcile my bank statement. So I get a management report of just, what I've got left, and it's all reconciled and I can tick it. Now, if you're paying yourself, if you want to be paying yourself, say, 100 quid an hour, that is a total waste of your time doing that because it's just boring admin, really. But there are VAs who love doing it because they love being able to tick the boxes and get everything correct in the right place. Great, hire them because they'll do it in a fraction of the time it'll take you. And all of a sudden they'll come out with what you want, and you suddenly think, oh, brilliant, and all of a sudden you're on top of your business to a certain extent. So that's why a lot of people do farm out bookkeeping to start with, because bookkeeping is so easy to structure and put in place. But you've got to have that kind of, so once you've done that or have something similar, that's what you need to do with all your other tasks. And some of them you'll need to do yourself. You'll need to keep doing yourself. Marketing is classic, really, because if you have a marketing strategy, and the best person to market your business is you, because face to face and all that kind of stuff sometimes. But if you have a marketing strategy and you know what you're doing, there is a section of it that you'll want to keep, but there's also a section of the mechanical stuff that once you have that strategy in place, like you said, you can say, right, someone else could be doing that bit, but I'm focusing on this piece of maybe the face-to-face element, if there is such a thing, or the Zoom element, where you are your marketing, because ultimately if you're in small business, majority of businesses, you are your business.
And do you know what, mate? We talk about businesses at different levels and stuff like that, and I'll go through a few things on what you just said there. But even as businesses grow, even though that person who is the business in the beginning, or as they grow, they're still the main person. Once you get into then you have staff, your staff should still be the people of your business. So in your marketing and stuff like that, in the beginning, you kind of build that personal brand. Well, when you build that business brand, it should still be around people. Those people within your business should still have an identity. They should still have their own brand within the business. And that's how it gets really powerful. And that's how you just compound your results there. But going back to those different levels, now we may have someone listening where they go, yeah, do you know, I farmed out the bookkeeping like years ago and stuff like that. And it's like, it's just the same principle, right? It's just like whatever there is that you're doing now that is taking up that kind of time. People fall into those traps, don't they? As they grow the business, it's like they become a manager, and it's like, they don't have the time or the experience to be a manager when they can they can be driving the business forward as they have been to grow the business. But now you become a manager. So it's like, we'll get someone in to manage, that kind of department and stuff like that. And even then, when you get into, like you said, you have processes and your processes are working, but could they work better? And to give an example there, talking with a company, they have a month, and it's like little things where, an email is being, sent out manually and stuff like that. And it's like, but everyone gets this email. So just put it on autopilot, it can go out. And then it's like, well, once you speak to this person, what's the follow-up process? And it's just like, well, what do you mean? It's like, well, who can they refer to you? That kind of thing. And I'll be honest, talking with a guy this morning, and he just said that tactic that you showed me to do with that follow-up, he said $3,000 today just from that follow-up. Exactly. And you're just like, that was an email that was on autopilot, that after someone completed and it said thanks, it just said, along the lines of, who else do you know?
Yeah.
And it's like they had such a good interaction that they're like, yeah, you need to speak with my son.
Yeah, and we've talked about that, haven't we? The fortune is so true. The fortune is in the follow-ups, plural. Yeah, because the first follow-up, it may not fall on deaf ears. It fall on deaf ears for whatever reason. So it's essential you have follow-ups, but it's that, isn't it? That just kind of, why do you send? If you've got more than 3 customers, for example, why are you sending manual emails? You've got their names and address, you've got the email addresses, just put it into an automated system. And I know VAs around, as you probably do as well, that specialize in finding and researching the best software to do a job for you. So instead of you taking even the time to think, oh, okay, I better find out what system does this best. Is that a good use of your time? It might be you say, okay, you get someone, a VA or whatever, a person comes along and says, okay, I need to find a system that does this, does that, does that. And I want to get at least 3 different systems that do the similar thing so I can make a decision as to which one to go with. They'll do it. Their research, they can come back within about half an hour, say, I found this. And you think, wow, that was quick. Because, you take so time, I would, I'll use me here. I would take so much time thinking, right, what do I need to know? And I'd go, my type, for example, I can't type at all. My typing is so slow. You get somebody can whiz through the keyboard, go and click on this and do it. And it just would leave me tired and exhausted just watching them. But they'll come back with results. And it's my time is spent thinking about stuff that's going on and stuff I could do better, and stuff with the business and the strategy of the business. This person comes back to me, this is what you need, this is the best one. Say, great, we'll sign a membership for it. Now I need you to set it up for me. Great. And off they go and they do it. Piece of cake, because it would have taken me a week to get to that stage.
And that's the big thing, though, isn't it? Is that how long does it actually take you to get to that stage? Is that how do you shorten that process? And that's another thing. So, like, we're talking about kind of adding more profit into your business and simplifying your business, just improving it. It's like, well, look, how long are things taking? How can we shorten that? What can we put in place to make things easier and stuff like that? So, like you said there, it's like, well, what kind of software is it? Can it integrate in with something else, that it talks to something else? How many times do we see it as well, where it's like people are putting data into one system and then they're putting data into another system? It's like, it's the same data. It's like, if you can link this up in a way where you put into one and it goes into the other, why are we not looking at how that happens? How are we not looking at software and systems to improve things, And that comes back to, looking at people and stuff like that as well, and just going like, it could be that you bring in special kind of expertise in regards to like an ongoing basis. Like you take a full-time member of staff. It could be that you take a part-time member of staff, someone ad hoc, or even someone just for consulting, looking at kind of guidance and stuff like that, and looking at a system and going, what do we need to do? And I think from, not to kind of do that as a bit of a sales pitch and talk about what we do and stuff like that, but that whole kind of thing of marketing strategy, right? Is that how many times people farm out their marketing with just kind of go, oh yeah, we just want to get some more customers, or we just want to do this, we just want to do that, or they have someone says that they do a marketing strategy with someone, but really they just ask a couple of questions, and they're looking at how do we get more leads for this thing, or how do we position the brand in this kind of light. But when we look at strategy actually comes back from vision of the people running the business, whether that's the business owner, whether that's the person who is actually running it. But the point there is that with that vision, we can start to build out the strategy of how we achieve that vision, how we create that business into being whatever business it is that they're trying to achieve. That strategy then outlines that. So it takes it through the steps, it takes it through the milestones to get someone from where they are now to where they want to be.
Yeah.
Strategy isn't just about putting out some information, trying to get more sales.
No, definitely not. It's about that vision, and it's understanding that. And the problem is when you're trying to do everything yourself, you may have had a vision when you started, and you started out with the whole idea that yes, I'm going to do this and that, and it just, business just takes that away from you. So, or you just lose sight of your vision. In some cases. And
do you know what? There's something that we spoke about before. I'm not sure if we did it on a podcast or we did it just kind of talking. And it's like that thing there is that, one, because it is in front of mind, like you kind of pass it off. Two, it's that clarity and confidence in yourself. Right now, each individual, like kind of business owner and stuff like that, like they know their business, right? They know what it is that they're kind of wanting to kind of get towards and stuff like that. But their expertise, that where they position themselves in their industry, their business, they know it, right? We don't know that. If you take someone who's in a certain field, and they're doing some sort of insurance or something like that. We don't know that industry. We don't know what they know in the insurance, right? But what we do know is the right questions to ask to get the right answers. And that thing of that's what most people are missing, is knowing the right questions to ask to get the answers. Anyone can answer a question, but is it the right question?
Yeah.
And that's such a big thing.
And that's such an interesting thing, because I remember, doing the coaching qualifications that I've done and other stuff. It's always about the questions, the quality of questions. It's not about anybody can ask questions, but it's the quality of questions to dig underneath the superficial stuff. If you ask a question, how do you do that? Oh yeah, da, da, da. And then you say, well, why do you do it that way? Or you just go why, and you dig down and dig down. And you often will get down to the bottom, and people say, well, I don't really know why we do that, because we've always done it that way. Right, okay. So does it need an extra layer of you trying to find someone to do it the same way that you did it before? Or do you actually need to change and amend and maybe improve the way that thing is done? And sometimes people don't ever get down to that because they don't have the time to ask themselves. And like you said, they don't have the knowledge. And it's always better to, when you've got people around you, people who qualified coaching and people who know about coaching, they'll always give you that extra spark of a question that sets you thinking. And all of a sudden, you may not have asked yourself the question, someone else has. And all of a sudden, your thinking then goes down, whoa, hang on a minute, I hadn't thought about that. And so it goes into a totally different kind of conversation. But now you're starting to think more about the way your business is run under the bonnet, or under the hood, as they say in the US. And you start to come out with all sorts of different things. I don't need that anymore. That's obsolete, but I can put one of these in and it makes the boat go faster, or makes the engine go faster, that kind of thing. But you won't get there. You certainly won't get there on your own. Everybody needs to bounce ideas off people. But if you bounce ideas off someone in the pub, you're just going to get rubbish. Yeah, you're going to get rubbish questions. So you need to bounce your ideas off people who really know what they're kind of a specialist in what they're doing. Hence the fact that you're a marketing coach and I'm a mindset coach, because you can't be a coach on everything. I can't be a marketing coach, and I'm sure there's other people who couldn't be a mindset coach. But because that you have your own disciplines and you understand that in marketing you can ask exactly the right questions to get someone thinking, maybe I need to change it. Or you come out with their vision, say, right, that's your strategy, that's where you want to get to. Now we'll create your marketing together, and you go backwards.
It's exactly that, isn't it? We've kind of said before that that's the real kind of mastermind, right?
Yeah.
That whole kind of Think and Go Rich style is the power of the mastermind.
Yeah.
Is that you will say something, I will say something, someone else adds something in, and all of a sudden it's a different monster altogether.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's the thing, isn't it? Like, it's having the right people, the right support, and things like that. I think a lot of times when people kind of look at having the right people around them, and we think about support, it is about them doing something. Right? Yeah. It's about them, okay, we're supporting in doing that, we're supporting doing this. But actually, it's having the right people around you is to elevate you.
Yeah.
It's to elevate your thinking, is to elevate your confidence, is to elevate your courage to go, I can do that. We can add that in. Of course we can. Let's add that part in. And it's not, I think a lot of times as well, when we talk about business, we talk about making more money and stuff like that. And we do talk about growth. We do get into kind of scale. We talk about getting to scale, that kind of scaling level. But sometimes, it's fine to stay where you are. It's just improving where you are and continuously improving where you are. Yeah. Rather than kind of going, okay, I've got to this level and I kind of just plateau now. It's just making things better for you.
In that 5 levels of business thing we talk about, we have the very, very the creation, when you start off from scratch. You want to get out that stage, and you get into the youth stage where your business is growing and you've got a bit more confidence in it, and you get eventually you want to get to the continuity stage where it's working fine. So many people want to stay at that stage, and there's nothing wrong with that. They get to the continuity stage, and that's fine, because that's where they're just, the business is working for them. They're innovating still at that point. Because you still want to keep to that level, because if you don't do anything, you drop. But they're that continuity stage. They go on, And there's very few really that go on to that real the acceleration stage. They're right, okay, I'm going to leverage everything now. I'm going to really go up to get to a really big PLC type business. You know, not many people really want to get there. There are people who do, and they can do it really successfully until they get to this huge stage where they're an established business and a really established business. But there's an awful lot that, as you said, want to stay in that middle and quite happy to stay in that middle area. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it, but just make sure you don't stay still. Staying at the same place, if you like, in business doesn't mean staying still.
Yeah.
You've got to be constantly thinking about staying there, but it means you don't want to just go mad and invest masses of money into a huge future growth that maybe you can't be bothered with. You just don't want the stress that goes with it at this point in time, because again, your thinking will change every day. So the next day you might think, oh no, sorry, actually I do want to go. But while your thinking is staying, I want to stay where I am, there's nothing wrong with that. Just make sure that you put everything in place to stay where you are.
And you know, I think there's a massive part in there of people being in a rush. Like it's like everyone wants like the kind of, you know, if you say to people like, you know, what really is success and stuff like that, it will be it's, you know, 5 million in the bank and I'm in Barbados and everything's fine, right? And it's like, yeah, do you know what? Everyone wants some form of that, right? But it's like if you actually start stripping things back and you kind of go, well, look, what is it you really want? Like in 6 months' time, what would you like? In a year's time, you know, at what stage would you want to be at? You know, what would you want your business to look like? And it's a fraction of that, you know, it's just an improvement of where they are now. And it's like, well, look, we don't need to be in a rush to get to that kind of 5 million. You know, it's like we can start moving towards that 6-month goal, you know, that 12-month target, whatever it is that we're moving towards, and actually achieve it. And again, like you said, it's then working out going, well, how do we do that? And it could be that it's a growth stage. It could be that we need to bring lots of people in and systems and all kinds of things and spend money to make it happen. It could be that we just want to, you know, just trickle along to get to where it is just by improving things, you know. And like you said, you could be at that level where you go, yeah, so I'm making whatever it is, you know, you say the business is turning over like 500,000 or something like that, you know. You decide, I don't want to grow, I don't want to get any bigger. It's like, okay, well, look, the business is turning over 500,000. How much are you actually taking from that? So how do we actually improve things to make it more profitable, that instead of you being stuck on, say, 60,000, you can make 120,000?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you know, and it's a weird, isn't it? Success means so many different things to different people. But I think one of the definitions that people forget is that success, it can be, is that when you have something running exactly as you want it. So success doesn't mean you might say that, oh yeah, I want to be a business that's got 60 million worth of assets and I want to be doing this and doing that. And you start off with all this kind of huge vision, because people say think big, and sometimes people incorrectly translate think big as thinking ridiculously huge. And then when you've been in business 3 years, you think, actually, I don't know if I want all that. And there's nothing wrong with then saying, actually, you can change. You don't have to be constantly striving for that. You can say, well, actually, I only need 25% of that kind of vision, because that would fit me perfectly. And so success is just making sure you have something, a business or a process or whatever, that is running smoothly. It's running successfully, not success measured in monetary terms. But just everyone's happy. We've got a great team of people. They're working together well. They're easy to manage because they're all in line with the whole vision of the company. I've got a great lifestyle. The whole business is a success. And you could be a business that only makes 2 million, but everything is working fine. It's not about that financial, the figure at the bottom. As you said, one of the things you want to do there is try and tweak the profitability, maybe, to be as the best as you can. But it could be you say, oh, that's fine. I'm happy because I'm just reinvest that. I keep that in the company so that I know if we come across any dodgy times, rough times, that I've got money in there that I can keep paying my team and my managers, and the business will still carry on. That's success.
Yeah, and that is, like you said, like success is different to everyone, right? Like you just said there, is like, well, what we look at is obviously, in business we need to make money. right? So it's just like, as much as money doesn't buy happiness, that's what people say, right? I'm just like happier with more money than less. But it's just like,
Yeah, of course.
when you start making more money, right, you have more choice,
Yeah,
and those choices allow you to have the success that you want. And
yeah,
like I said, whatever that success is to anyone, that's entirely up to you. But it's
yeah,
like you have to get to that stage where you have options to have the success, and that could be that you only want to work so many days a week. It could be that you've got more time to spend with family. It could be that you want to invest and grow the business, whatever it is. That's what that success is to you. And mate, I'm doing that as like a shameless plug, but what we've got Momentum Match, it's like a
yeah,
monthly membership. The whole thing that we do there is we help people build momentum because
yeah,
people will be at different levels. People will be looking to kind of make money online as a bit of a side hustle. People will be starting a business or they've been in business for a little while and it's not really going how they want. It could be that they're growing it. And the whole kind of point is that we've got tools, we've got frameworks, we've got different things that we help people with to kind of go, right, what is it you're working on? Let's make sure we work on that. Here's the accountability, make sure it happens. And that there is, it doesn't matter. It's not going, okay, these people are looking to grow a £2 million business. It doesn't say they're going from 2 million to 10 million. They can be in there, of course they can. But so can the people that just go, I want to make an extra 20K.
yeah, exactly right. Yeah. And the point is, and again, it comes back to getting the right, listening to the right people, being coached by we're both coaches and we've both been in business for a long, long time, seen different size businesses, from all different, in all different genres, so we're people who know about business and know how business works. And I think sometimes when when you are at that kind of, you are maybe sole trader stage or whatever, but you've been in business maybe in 2 or 3 years. There's so many people I speak to that think, I don't really know much about business. I've been in business, I'm doing this, but I don't really know about business. And you say, well, okay, what is it? What are you looking for? And where is it you think you don't know? And it's just that coaching where we can help people to to know if to know all they need to know for the size of business that they want. And that's the crucial thing, isn't it? We make a big play on that, is that you don't grow to our remedy to say you need a business that's this big. It's got nothing to do with us at all. It's about you getting comfortable to know what you need to know to get to where you want to be at that particular time. Because I keep saying that that changes. If you're in a business that you were growing and you wanted to grow to, say, I don't know, even 500k business, 500,000 turnover business, whatever, and you're making so much a profit. Back then, that's all you wanted. But when you get there, you might think, actually, you might have one or two thoughts. This is really good. I'm quite happy here. I'm sunning myself on the beach. I get some great holidays. And I can see this going on. But it may be that in 3 months' time, you might think, right, actually, I would love this, or I would love that. I maybe would love to make some investments here. So now then you start thinking, right, I can grow to the business to another level, but whatever that level is for you. And when we talk about, going up a level, it's not a prescribed ladder that you've got to go from here to here to here. It's your ladder. You say, right, I just want another 20k. Or I maybe want another 100k, but it's your ladder. You've decided where you want to get to next. And that's the whole point about the coaching that we give, is not prescribed that you must get to this point.
Exactly that. And it's like coaching one guy, and he's grown to a business that has a couple of million, and never probably thought he would get to that. Once he gets to that, it's going, okay, look, now you're here. Instead of staying still, what do you want next? And it's looking, okay, look, can add this part into the business, can actually purchase this business over here to make things easier, right? Mm. Flipping it to coaching a guy who's just starting out, wanting that business, but kind of going, you're nowhere near it. So you need to work on these things right now to make sure that you get this, nailed down, it's working, before you can actually get up to that. And that's the difference, is that I think sometimes, that there's a lot of stuff out there on social media and stuff like that, and even a lot of people that talk as if business is easy and you just do this and you just do that. And it's like, on paper, it's easy. Of course it is. You just need something of value to exchange with someone for their money, right? And then fulfill on that kind of service. On paper, it's easy, but business is hard. Yeah. And it's like, especially if you're trying to do everything alone. And it's like you said, it could be that person starting out, they're trying to achieve something. They've got no one to talk to, right? They've got no one at home and stuff like that they can actually talk to go, this is what I'm trying to do. Like, I just need that kind of input, or the input that they're getting. Like you said, someone down the pub doesn't really see it the same way. So they're just like, well, just do this, or,
Yeah.
you won't be able to do that because of X, Y, Z. And then as a business gets into from like the kind of infancy level and stuff like that and grows into more of a mature business, well, that business owner can now be like, well, actually, I can't speak to any of my staff now because I've got layers of managers and all this kind of stuff, and I've got, responsibility to do this. I want to seek guidance from someone outside who can give me that path then that is going to make more sense to go, okay, I can try this, I can do that, rather than trying to run it past people who are trying to influence things to work for them, rather than to work for the business.
Yeah. I was just something that sprang to mind because I remember doing this in my early years in business years ago, and something that sprang to mind. You can create a business whatever you want on paper. I remember sitting in front of spreadsheets and saying, we can do this and this business will go that way. God, we're going to have millions of turnover over here. And you got it on a spreadsheet and it looks brilliant. You think, oh, it's easy. Then you go into the bad world, the big bad world, and you realize that, ooh, that's not going to plan. That's not happening. And then it does. Yeah, you realize that your spreadsheet is a total waste of time. You chuck it in a bin and become a bit more realistic. But it's difficult to be realistic when you're starting out in business because you don't know. And that's the thing. You don't know.
Do you know what it is, well, mate? Like that there, like, I love that. That actually sums things up to me. Because like you said, that's what most people do is they jot something down on paper. It makes sense. They put it out there and it doesn't work right. And then they throw it away and they get a new piece of paper and they do it exactly the same. But on that piece of, paper that they threw away, do you know what? That could be the lottery numbers for a year's time. It just needs the right path to go down to make it happen. Just because it failed once, it doesn't mean that you can't get there. It just means that you underestimated the work and the time.
Yes.
Like, how many times have we seen it where, like, you talk with people or stuff like that, where they've been in business and they go, this is what we're trying to do within the next 3 months. And you used to go, well, if it's 3 years, you got a chance.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And is that, I think everyone overestimates what they can achieve in the next month. Yeah. But they underestimate what they can do in the next year to 5 years. And it's not a case of going, you can't achieve what you want to achieve until kind of 5 years, because you're always moving up. You're moving up those levels, that ladder to get to where you want to do. You are benefiting as you go through. But that finished article isn't until 3 years. Yeah. It's like you have to go on that path to get there.
Yeah, absolutely true. Yeah, and it's so true. And and if you work backwards, and we got a company up the road. I mean, I live in Down End of Bristol, and there's a company up the road called AN Checker. I think he's been around. I don't know. He's a central heat. There's central heating system, plumbing engineers, whatever. And I think they formed in 1975. I think something like that. And it was a guy on his own. I think he with his brother or something, or the son, or whatever, with one van. It's huge. They're all over Bristol. They are massive, but they're still locally known. No, they're not internationally known or anything. And he got to that level where he's just quite happy. But he started somewhere, and he started with a vision. And again, it's like anybody, you start somewhere. You don't know where your business could go. You might have it planned on paper, but you don't know where your business could go in a period of time. But you start off with, and it's like Martin Luther King said, you just start and go on the first step. You can't see the whole staircase, and you're not really interested in this whole staircase to start with. You're looking at what's the next step. What's the next step? You may have a vision of this landing at the top of a staircase you want to get onto, but you just start at the next step. And that's the point. Is a lot of people just say, "Oh, I run up these stairs." You say, "Yeah, but you can't yet because you just want to go up to the first step first." Yeah.
That's the thing, isn't it? Like, people want to run up the stairs, but it's like they don't even know that the next step is there.
Yeah, they can't see it. Exactly. Yeah.
But they're just trying to run up. And I can remember as well, mate, a guy where he had a business and is turning over a fair few million. And he's just, like you said, he's happy where he's just doing 10% extra a year. He's just adding 10% on. Yeah, we could go in there, and go, okay, look, this is what we can do over the next 3 years to add another 2 million to the business. But he's like, I don't want that. Just happy steadily growing until I retire.
Yeah.
and then I just pass
Exactly.
it on to my
Yeah.
sons.
Yeah. And that's right. And that's fine. So you just talk about what kind of exit strategy he wants. What does he want to do at the end of it then? And simple as that. And so his vision becomes, just steadily growing to a stage where he stays where it is, so that and his sons who are interested, right? Okay, so at what point of your business life are you going to say, right, now's the time to pass it on, and that becomes the kind of the end point. And it's like the exit plan, isn't it? There's so many business you ask a lot of business, well, what's your exit plan? And they look at you completely dumb. Well, what's an exit plan? And we were saying, I don't remember we talked about this before. I've said before about making a company franchise ready, and
Mm.
it's not because you're going to franchise it. You may have no thoughts about franchising it, but making a company franchise ready makes it works because everyone's got their job and everything is documented. It's also attractive if one day somebody comes along and says, "I would like to buy your company for." I don't know, just saying in today's price, I want to buy your company for 20 million. And at first thought you think, actually, yeah, I could do a lot with 20 million. Why do I want to stay in business? Well, I could, so you can have people who it attracts the people that come to you, or it could be it's franchise ready so that you can take people into new jobs and they can just slot into your business. And but I call it franchise ready because a franchise is always about processes, and that's the point. You need to know exactly. You need to have documented your processes and your procedures, everything. If you ever work for a charity, which I've worked for quite a few, charities are huge on processes and procedures. And at first of all, you think, oh, the first time I went to charity, and they said, well, this is a whole, you open a filing cabinet, there's all these folders. These are all our processes and procedures. And you think, really? But you realize they have processes and procedures for everything. So that because they have volunteers, they get a volunteer in, they take off this thing. This is your manual. This is the process. This is the procedure. The volunteer can just do it without
Mm.
any problem. And they've done it. At the end of the day, they've done a great job. And it's because they have everything documented. And the other reason is because the charity registrar wants to see they've got all these things in place as well. So it's a legal thing. But it really, really works from a personnel point because they can bring in anybody, literally anybody who volunteers to a certain extent, and say, right, this is it. This is what we want you to do. And there's no questions. There's a little bit of training. You can have a bit on the job training. You talk to them, but basically they have it there in front of them, and they go ahead and do it. Going back to like I've said about bookkeeping, if you've got all your bookkeeping processes laid out, which is probably the easiest thing to do, just give it to someone. This is what I want you to do. There's no questions. They just do it month after month after
Yeah.
month. And when I talk about it's interesting because one thing I forgot to mention is that I say to you again, keep an eye on your cash. You've got to keep an eye on your cash flow. That doesn't mean to say you've got to do it. It just means that bookkeeper gives you this is how your cash is going, and that's it. You just have a bottom line. Okay, this is what came into the bank. These are my costs. Oh, that looks a little bit high. And the bookkeeper, yes, I'll notice that. We need to sort that one out. And it's saved you so much time. But now you're keeping an eye on your costs and your cash, but you're not the person doing it. You're seeing the results, but you're not the person creating this huge cash flow planner and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. I think we'll look to wrap things up there because I think
Okay.
what you were just saying there, mate, I think makes perfect sense to do for the next episode is that, like you said, is that someone else can do it, but you can keep an eye on it, right? So like you just said, that whole kind of bookkeeping thing is that you could outsource that, and then at the end of the year, you could look at the year and go, well, what happened here? What was that? Why were we spending so much over there? Why did we make so little here? If you're keeping an eye on it month by month, you can actually see where that issue is. And that compound effect, like you say, it works both ways. You could be moving up, you could be moving down. So we want to be keeping an eye on things as soon as we can. But to basically sum up this episode, I think for me, that whole kind of thing of getting franchise ready, I think that there, it makes sense for so many people because you have options then on what you do. So whether you are the business owner, you're running things, but other people are actually doing the work, that's fine. You can become an investor in the business where, you're working above the business, where you're off somewhere else, the business is still running and everything like that. You could then become a seller. you know, so you could sell the business and all
Yeah.
those three things, you know, if it's franchise ready, it's really easy. You know, it reduces that headache, it makes it easy to sell. It's basically a case of plugging in or, you know, turning the keys and it works. It's just that kind of thing. I think as well, like looking at the whole kind of things of improving your business and your profits, for me, it is looking at where you can reduce the stress on yourself. So like, so if you're trying to spend hours doing something, but who can help you with that? You know, if you're looking at, you're repeating the same task over and over again, you know, you look at who or what can help you with that, you know, and even with marketing and sales and stuff like that as well. It's like, how do you make this easier that you can actually make more from it? You know, we didn't even get into kind of adding profits where, like you said, you can do upsells and stuff like that and add more in and retention and all this kind of stuff. But just by simply making your processes better, like I said, having a follow-up system, you're going to make more money that way, where you can obviously, you know, benefit from that. So I think for me, to basically like sum up this episode, what I kind of like is that we, in the last like however many episodes, we've kind of said just do it. Right? We've kind of finished with just do it. I reckon that this part here is like, look, just do it, but it doesn't mean that you have to do it.
Yes. Not how can I do it?
Yeah.
Who can do it?
Yeah, that's what we're going to change it to, mate. That whole kind of Nike brand, just do it. We're going to do, you know, who can do it?
Who can do it?
I love that, mate. Is there anything you want to sum up this episode?
Yeah, I mean, I was very similar to that. I was just saying, you know, first thing is the question, the three questions really. Why do I want to change this? What is it I need to change? And who can change it for me, or who can do it?
Yeah, I love it. I mean, let's cap things off there. We'll put a link below as well for Momentum Max and just get our help with coaching each week. But yeah, other than that, Marcus, it's been a pleasure.
Brilliant. It's great to be here. Okay. Cheers, then, everybody.